What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Rolling the Bottom Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Moore. Hope you're doing well whenever you are listening to this one. We're here at Richmond. We have a nice, cool backdrop for this one. I could have done it inside the media center in a nice, what would have been called the green room, but I wanted a cooler backdrop for this one. So that's why we're here. As I usually say with any off-location podcast, this is not going to be a long, freaking 30-minute podcast. We're going to talk about some of the key drivers in this race, where they finish, some of the key moments, and we're going to call it a night. It's late, okay? It's really freaking late, so don't want to be here long, and people got to go home too. So security's got to go home. Well, they can't go home if I'm still here. So that's how I look at it. So let's get right into it. Joey Logano gets his second win of the season at Richmond. It was an incredible battle between him and Chase Briscoe all race. Both guys looked really strong at times than the other one. But late race pit stop, Joey's team prevailed. Right before that, Joey did pass Briscoe. Briscoe made it close, and then near the end of the race, some lap traffic in there. Joey felt like Briscoe's car was better than him there late. But Joey, with the amount of laps left, he got his way around that lap traffic, and he went on to win. Only led 95 laps. He didn't lead the most laps, but their pit crew had a great pit stop like we talked about, and they are just really fast in these type of racetracks. These short tracks are where Penske thrives. North Wilkesboro, Joey dominated, and he came here and he was top 5 all day, really top 2 all day. And they were clicking on all cylinders. And we thought earlier in the year, guys, we were thinking Joey's, oh my gosh, look how terrible they are. Look how slow they are. Look how irrelevant they are. And then boom, it's, here they are. It's even year Logano. There they are, right? I heard Joey Logano said that their team's slogan this year is for the haters, because they're chasing 4 championships. And there's a lot of haters because people believe that Joey Logano, his 3 championships are Mickey Mouse championships because he won in the playoff format. And he won the championships when he was never statistically the best driver. But the team, Penske, just shows early in the year, we may not be the best. But come the summer months, come chase time, we show up. And the 22 team showed up. The 12 was fast. The 2 car was fast. They all finished well. And now this Team Penske team and Joey Logano, they're all going to go to New Hampshire, another strong track for them. Joey said that they feel like they're a championship team now. They went from trying to make the chase as their goal to now the championship. And they have gotten faster. I mean, they were competitive at Indianapolis. They were in the mix at Chicagoland. Tracks where you wouldn't think Penske would be good at. And they're not, the mile and a halves have been a struggle for Penske and Ford as a whole. So who knows? If they can run average in top 10, top 15 at mile and a halves, and then when they go to the short tracks like Bristol, Gateway, Martinsville, Phoenix, and they can go out there and dominate, they can compete for this championship. I personally believe Penske can compete for this championship. As long as they're average on the ovals, the big ovals, and then they're dominant on those short tracks, I think they can compete for this championship. That's my personal opinion. So congrats to Joey Logano. I think this is the first time his entire family, I believe they actually are foster parents to a couple of kids. So this is the first win that his entire family got to see him win. He did a pretty cool burnout in front of a sold-out crowd. So congrats to Joey. He's definitely went from, you can just tell, like, he went from really questioning, what's going on, when's this gonna turn around, to now you can just tell the confidence in Joey's eyes. You just can tell it with the way his body language, the way he talks. There's a lot of confidence in that camp, and they should be confident. Now this race, guys. Like we said, it was Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe. Chase was fast. Chase Briscoe, finishing second, had some brake issues. He was worried about the brakes were feeling soft. But luckily, I guess, I don't know how it all works. Luckily, they didn't get any worse to a brake, a rotor explosion. Coming home second is another really good run for Briscoe. The team needs it to continue their momentum. They ran well, really, really well last week at, where did they run last week? I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, Iowa. Yeah, another track that it looks similar to Richmond, but the speeds are, Iowa's much faster. So good day for Briscoe. A lot of strategy, of course, in this race, a lot of different pit stops. It was very hard to, know, what was going on. Because there were some guys doing 3-stop strategies in the stage, some were doing 2. There was non-stop action on the track, for sure, because there was cars all over the place. I don't know how the fans thought about it. We'll get into that in the end. Austin Cindric, like we talked about, he didn't have a great week last week in Iowa. He was plus 29 and wasn't feeling great about himself. Now he, I think, really, if I go and look at the point standings, Chase Briscoe is plus 57. Went from plus 29 to plus 57, and now you're going to a track like New Hampshire, which Penske can be fast at. You got to feel good for Austin Cindric, right? He's kind of the weak link, they would say, at Team Penske, right? The guy that hasn't won, the guy that's not as strong as the 22 and the 12 when it matters, but he showed again. He was really fast here last year, and now he was fast again today. So you got to give credit there that number 2 team. They're good. They were good today. Denny Hamlin, Denny Hamlin looked like he was going to be the 3rd best car, and he still finishes 4th, but there were some restarts there that he didn't do great. All had some contact with the 21. He was not happy about the 21. He had some contact with the 12. They were racing hard. The restarts really felt like it hurt Denny. He lost some spots. Got off the racetrack one of the restarts there because of the 21. I felt like Denny was a little weak in the restarts. And then they had some issues getting the jack under the car. The body pan, there was some damage around where they put the jack in, I was hearing from Denny. So they don't know where they got the damage on the car to affect the ability for the jack to go under the car well. But that, I believe, affected them the last 2 stops because they were slower. But it was just because of the jack. But still, Denny did say that he felt like his car was his best at the end. Like, they still came back for 4th, when they felt like at one point they were like 10th, with less than 100 laps to go. So a good rebound, and Denny Hamlin now is 115 points above the cut line. Not above the cut line. Above 2nd place. I believe it's Ryan Blaney. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Denny Hamlin is 115 points above Ryan Blaney with 2 races left. New Hampshire, a track that Toyota's been good at. If he just runs top 10 day, it's going to be hard. I think he pretty much will probably have it locked up, unless he has a disastrous day where he wrecks out early, and Blaney and Rennick, they have big points days. I think Denny's got this. It's not, we can't call it the regular season championship anymore. He's got the number 1 seed locked up for the chase. That's how you have to look at it. Chase Elliott, I guess a quiet day. There wasn't much talked about him, but he just had a solid top 10 day. He was probably outside the top 5 most of the day, but then they got better, pit stops, and they come home in 5th. Nothing more to say there. Kyle Larson, dude, I think started in the 30s. Kyle Larson started in the 30s in this race, but the team, the number 5 team, Cliff Daniels, they got better, and they were on like a 3-stop strategy. I think at one during the stages. They were pitting a lot, and they just slowly got better, and their cars seemed to be good enough, and they come home 6th. It was a grind of a day for Kyle Larson, and now Kyle Larson is currently, as I'm filming this, is flying to Knoxville in Iowa, or I don't know if it's Knoxville, Iowa, but he's going into Knoxville and Nashville. He's the pole sitter for the race, and he thought he wasn't going to be able to race in the Knoxville Nationals because this race would be going on at the same time, but because of some rain, some weather, Kyle Larson will be racing the Knoxville Nashvilles on the pole, and I don't know in the history of Knoxville Nashville's last couple of years, I don't think there's been a pass to lead, so Larson could be setting himself up to winning another Knoxville Nationals. I think he won it either 2 years ago when he was racing, so he has a lot of success there. So by this time this is out, the race might be over. It's pretty wild. But yeah, he booked it. We were over there to the cars to talk to drivers, and he was already gone. I was like, whoa. So they already had a plan. Hendrick Motorsports had a plan to get Larson down there to go and get on a plane to fly there In Iowa, I don't know. I think it's called Knoxville. I think it's Knoxville, Iowa. Not exactly sure, but a day that Larson needed. He's had a bad stretch. They've been really, really bad, really, really bad. If I'll say, Larson currently is 143 points above the cut line. He's currently in eighth. He gained, I think, 2 spots. I think he was 10th, now eighth. So a good rebound for him. Christopher Bell, they tried a late race strategy to, I guess, to do like one pit stop in the final stage, and they just didn't create a big enough gap for Bell to try to save tire and run it long, because he got passed not far after, I guess, they decided to do that strategy. So now I forget what he said. I didn't listen to it. I was putting my camera in his face, wasn't asking the question. But yeah, I guess you can't really say it's a missed opportunity. But another top 10 for Bell. Josh Berry has another top 10. He finished top 10 in Indy. Then he comes to Iowa, finishes top 5. Then he comes here and does another top 10. Josh Berry, man, is showing that he is a great race car driver. He's an incredible race car driver. And I'm starting to wonder, I don't think Josh Berry has been treated fairly. I felt like when he was struggling early in the year, Penske as a whole was struggling. They were slow. Now look, did Josh maybe get involved in more accidents, maybe in DNFs? Maybe that was a part of why they felt like they needed to move on. But Josh Berry is looking, he's just as good with the Penske cars are. Maybe maybe the execution isn't there, because they were like running top 5 all day, and then they fell off a little bit. Some of the restarts didn't go that well for them. That's why they finished 8th, but he was a top 5 car all day. I think Jesse Love is the talented race car driver, but I don't think Penske really gave themselves the ability to really just see how Josh was going to play out. But I'm not. I also I don't know all the details, right? I don't know it all, but I really feel like Penske and I'm saying Penske because Penske they build Woodrunners. They have an alliance there for forever. So the 21 car is built in Penske. I personally believe that Penske is the one calling the shots there in the Wood Brothers. The Wood Brothers just owns the car. I think Penske might be making a mistake by the way they have handled Josh Berry, by just pretty much saying, letting him go, pretty much firing him when it wasn't even halfway through the season yet. And he is showing why he is a Cup Series driver currently. William Byron 9th, 10th Alex Bowman. Those are good, solid runs for Hendrick Motorsports, especially for Byron. Continues that consistency. For Bowman, for everything he's gone through, it's got to feel good just coming out with a good day. Just build some momentum for next year. Tyler Reddick coming home 11th. Tyler Reddick was also kind of a top 15 car in the teens. And then they have a really great, they had a break where it was for the Hostvar incident where Hostvar, I guess, missed a shift or downshifted too much and pretty much blew the engine or blew the transmission because of it. And then so Reddick was able to, he was the leader at the time, so he didn't pit yet. So he was able to pit under caution and keep where his track position. So he was able to, I guess, somewhat salvage his day, but he still ended up finishing 11th. So they ended up making their day that could have been really meh to a okay day. And that's at least something to do, something to be proud of for how bad they have been recently. We're really just taking our time with all these drivers. I apologize if this is not what you guys want to listen to. 12th, Ross Chastain. Good day, but he's really deep in the points. Ryan Blaney, finishing 13th. Ryan Blaney led a lot of laps in this race. I thought he might have been the most down in the car, but then it just seemed like he lost some track position through pit road, and maybe their car just wasn't the best in dirty air. When you're up front, you're trying to make your car as best it can be up front. But then when you're in the back, in dirty air, your car's not going to handle well because you're not making the adjustments for your car to be good in dirty air. Not sure. I know he also had some contact there with Denny Hamlin and all that kind of stuff. Still, it's a solid day for Blaney. Blaney is still third in the points. He still showed speed. I think it's just a circumstance of maybe the way the track just the way the race went. I don't know what I'm saying. Maybe it could have been better on the restarts. Maybe a little bit of pit stops. Not sure, but you can't really complain on the day for Blaney. Oh, no, 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 no. Now I'm just humming. This is the most ratchet podcast ever. Because now we're just saying things out of my mouth. Shane Van Gisbergen in 14th place. Shane was, he was running the high line. And I learned, I guess, according to Shane, he ran that line last year, but it felt like he was the only one going that high up there. I guess he was just searching for grip. He was way up towards the wall. It felt like it was Darlington. He was way up there. So he looked like he was having a good time. Coming home 14th. And Shane Van Gisbergen, look at my notes. Shane Van Gisbergen is plus 50. He's a final spot, plus 50. Anything can happen. New Hampshire's New Hampshire. But if Shane can just have, a top 20, top 15 day, I think he'll be sitting well. Really, Brian Priest had, bad days. The whole RFK team had really bad days that really hurt them. But now, of course, Buscher's still good in points, so even though he had a bad day, they're going to be fine. So, solid day for SVG. Let's keep going here. Ty Gibbs finishing 15th. Ty Gibbs was top 5 car, top 10 car in the start of the race where he qualified, and then he has a speeding penalty on the first pit stop. And this is one of the things I think has really hurt Ty Gibbs, is just those speeding penalties. I think he had a speeding penalty either last week or whatever week, and then they had an issue in pit road. These self-inflicting wounds, I think, is the only weakness you can say in that 54 team. That, a team like the 11 car or the 19 team, they don't do. The 12 car, they don't make these little, the driver mistakes, these little speeding penalties are things I don't feel like you're seeing from those guys that Ty Gibbs is making. So that probably definitely hurt their day because they went multiple laps down because of that. And they were already multiple laps down anyway. When you pit under green, now you're going to go down through pit road again under green. Yeah, so they dug themselves a hole, and that was on the driver. That was a driver mistake. All right, Daniel Suarez 16th, 17th Ryan Priest, 18th Noah Gregson, 19th Austin Dillon, man. He went from dominating last year's race or winning last year's race, and then winning the race year before that, to not really even being in the mix. They didn't qualify great, but I think last year they didn't qualify great, and they just worked their way through the field. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say. They didn't have the speed today, and it's not surprising as for RCR as a whole, but they came here last year not really having speed, and then they show up in their top 2 car last year, especially. And then of course we know what happened in 2024 when he was going to win that race until the caution comes out, and then he got beat on the restart, and then he chose to take it out, and still trying to win. He pretty much still won the race by wrecking 2 guys. But yeah, I guess it's not surprising for RCR to be this slow, for Austin Dillon to finish 19th. But from what we saw last year, we were thinking we were going to maybe see Austin Dillon up there, especially after last week at Iowa where he was running top 10. Yeah, that's really the notable ones from this race. Bubba Wallace finishing 20th. I don't know, really. That was just didn't have the speed in their car. I picked Bubba Wallace to win the race. He qualified, I think. Qualified 6th. So not sure there because he was really good at Iowa. But Iowa is really fast. Richmond is slower. Could be the reason behind it. Carson Hocevar finishing last, 37th, because it sounds like, according to Matt McCall, who's competition director for Spire, going into turn 1, Carson went from going from 5th gear to 3rd gear, when I think he was always trying to go to 4th gear. So, he revved the engine, over-revved the engine when you do that, and I don't know if it was transmission, blew the engine, but something mechanical. And now, look, they were already really, really slow. These past 2 weeks for Hocevar had not been great. Really, really bad momentum going into the playoffs because there was a lot of hype at one point. I guess after Indy, he was the highest ranked Chevrolet in the points, and now he's, if I take my time and go find out where the point standings are, Hocevar is currently 11th, 128 points, ahead of the cut line, but he's he's still in his second. Well, no, now he's the one, two. Now he's the third best Chevrolet. Now Chase Elliott has moved up there, and Larson has moved ahead of Hocevar. So you don't want to be having bad momentum like Hocevar's having going in these last two races. Um, but they gotta find some speed. They gotta find some momentum going into the chase. And it's also just rare to see a mistake like that. I mean, I don't know. I assume it was just one of those things where he just was downshifting too quick and boom, boom, boom. But I'm not a race car driver. We also saw Zane Smith spin out. He had got loose in coming to exiting turn two. He was also, they didn't really have any speed in their car. Front Row Motorsports didn't have much speed in their car, but Noah Gragson, guys. Noah Gragson finishes 18th. He finished 17th last week. All right, he signed a new contract. Is our top 20 is anything impressive? No, but for Front Row Motorsports, that to me is good. Okay, and for what Noah has done this year, those are good runs. He was the best. Was he the best finishing Front Row Motorsports car? Yes, he was. He was the best. I know Noah. People don't think Noah deserves the ride over like Lane Riggs, but I think Noah deserves it because I don't. We can't judge what someone does in the Truck Series to what they can possibly do in the Cup Series. It's a whole different ballgame. That's how I look at it. All right, those are some notable finishers. This is a little bit different style how I did. I'm not gonna Let's be honest, guys. The overall race, guys. There was 10 lead changes, 29, no, 10, yeah, 10 drivers on laps, and there was 29 lead changes, guys. But a lot of those lead changes, to be fair, were because of just how many pit stops we had. Tons of pit stops. You had cars on 3 stop strategies for a stage, 2 stop strategies. There was lots of passing, but a lot of that was just off of strategy. Wasn't really off of, really Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe were like 1 and 2 majority of the entire race. And then you throw Blaney in there. Like that was who was up front. There really wasn't much changing for position up front much. Besides those guys, really. And then really at the end, it was just Logano and Elliott and Chase Briscoe. I saw a lot of hate online. People didn't really find this race to be that good, and I get it. I think strategy, when you're in this grandstands and you're just seeing a lot of pit strategy be like the main thing in this race, and there's not much racing action, I get it why it can maybe be not fun. And again, it's probably confusing for fans to follow along. What's going on. There was only 2 cautions today. It was just for 1 single car spin and for a mechanical failure. That was it. The rest, then the other 2 were for the stage brakes. So not a lot of cars spinning out, not a lot of cars making mistakes. Now we didn't hear that some drivers were a little bit worried with their brakes. That was an issue. The brake rotors were a question mark. I forgot to say that Ryan Blaney did have some brake issues. I forgot to say that when talking about him, but that was something that he was. I guess the rotor, he says, got really soft. So those are always questions. I would give this race to me a flat, a 6 out of 8. It was a solid race. I thought the strategy from the lead was very compelling. The lap traffic. I did feel like lap traffic made this race somewhat good because the leaders got in a lot of lap traffic because of how the strategy was and how drivers were on different tire strategies when they pitted. It created for just a lot going on. There was just nonstop stuff going on. But whether or not people view all that to be entertaining is their opinion or their interpretation, I should say. So that was the race. Yeah. So Denny Hamlin has his first 115 points ahead of Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney's second, 115 points back. Ty Gibbs is still third, 127 points back, but losing a spot. Blaney gains a spot. Chase Briscoe stays in fifth there. Chase Elliott gains a spot in sixth. Christopher Bell loses a spot in seventh. Kyle Larson is in 8th, gains 2 spots. Joey Logano now moves to 9th in the standings. He gains 4 spots. He's top 10 in the points. And you don't know what he can do if he goes on another, if he goes, wins next weekend, and dominates that weekend and gets a lot of stage points. He can gain another big chunk in the standings. Same thing for Ryan Blaney, you never know there. Um, Chris Buescher loses a spot. Carson Osvar loses 3 spots at 11th. William Byron loses 12 spots, -1. Daniel Schwartz in 13th, -1. Bill Wallace in 14th, stays 14th. Austin Cindric in 15th, stays in 5th. Well, he actually gains a spot. And then Shane Van Gisbergen loses a spot in 16th. But like we talked about, Shane Van Gisbergen is ahead of Ryan Preece by 50 points. Ross Chastain is back from SVG by 63 points. Bragoslowski is back by Shane Van Gisbergen by 19. He's in 19th by 78 points. And then Aaron Jones in 20th is 81 points back. So yeah, Aaron Jones, I think Bragoslowski, and really Ross Chastain, I think their chances are over to make the chase. They just don't, not enough racing left, and they haven't shown enough speed. And yeah, they just haven't had, they had a lot of opportunities this year. I felt like Iowa was a really big missed opportunity for him. And then, Ross Chastain, and there's an argument to be made that SVG has been the best car all year. Better on ovals than Ross Chastain, I think it's a fair statement. It's surprising to think. And then Kyle Zilich. Kyle Zilich actually ran pretty solid today. He's kind of maybe finding a little bit more better success, maybe, or maybe I'm just lying. Yeah, I'm probably lying about Kyle Zilich. He finished 25th. As always, guys, these podcasts are just all over the freaking place because I'm not trying to be here. It's currently 12:31 a.m. So I don't want to be here all day. And not enough people watch my podcast to actually feel like I need to put so much effort into one of these things. Not because I don't want to. It's just that I know as long as I get to the parts I need, I feel good about the podcast. Since the Cup Series race, solid. Not Lane. Cannon Honeycutt dominates Truck Series race, leads 225 laps on the 250 lap race. It was moved to this morning. It was a Honeycutt domination. Corey Heim won this race last year with the kind of same team. Corey Heim came home second. Chris Jenkins third. Fourth, Shane Van Gisbergen fifth. Grant Fair sixth. Jake Garcia seventh. Chandler Smith eighth. Tristan McGee ninth. Giovanni Ruggiero 10th. Daniel Hemmer 11th. Tyler Ancrum 12th. Nick Letts 13th. Tanner Gray 14th. Landon Lewis 15th. Lane Riggs. Lane Riggs kind of surprised. I'm not sure the strategy was off for them. But congrats to Kane Honeycutt. Kane Honeycutt now is only 61 points back from Lane Riggs. Probably doesn't have a chance to make. He's gonna have to have Lane Riggs fall off because there's one more race left. I think Lane Riggs has this in the bag. But to me, this is a big statement for that Tricon team. Let's be honest. Tricon has all the pieces to be as good as that 34 team in Motorsports, but they've missed out on, I think, wins. Ken Honeycutt has said that he felt like he has to learn how to win these races. There was a lot of restarts. Darlington was one I felt like he probably should have won that one. He didn't execute his restart. That was the most notable one. I'm trying to think. Rockingham, he had an opportunity there, but Corey Heim was the best truck. Just been a couple races that I wish I had in my brain that I can remember that Kane Honeycutt probably missed out on. I probably should have had it. But I think it's going to be a really fun battle between Kane Honeycutt and Lane Riggs for this championship. Overall, Elliott Sadler did a one-off race with Ram, and that'll be his last race. Elliott Sadler, where did he finish? Whoa. Oh, he finished 32nd. Yeah, the Ram trucks, guys, this is the first race for Ram where they actually had their first ever truck built in-house from scratch. That was the 16 truck of Justin Haley. And Justin Haley came home 27th. They are just bad. Really bad. And the Ram, whoever is in charge of that whole program, once they think it's a good idea to come into the Cup Series. You know, I'm not. It's different. It's totally different disciplines, but just for how slow Ram has been in the Truck Series, man, to me, it shouldn't be that difficult. If you have money, good enough money to invest into this into a team that you can't be decent. You can't run top 15. Like that to me, it's very surprising how bad they are. But I understand that their trucks are older trucks and the older Spire Motorsports trucks, older young Motorsports truck. But the truck they just built in house finished 27th today. I think they still have some tools that they don't. I guess they don't have their own simulate. They can't do their own simulation. I don't know. Some other tools they don't have. So I guess, but still, this is a Cup Series team that cannot figure out how to get their Truck Series program to at least run top 15 every single week. My goodness, so that's still surprising. Um, but overall, it was a good race. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to Corey Heim and Grant Infinger. Um, Overall, guys, that's the podcast. Try my best with these things. But it was an incredible week here, guys. I asked a lot of questions. Some of the same questions, some different questions. I just pop around in drivers, and I'm more comfortable doing that. I'm still trying to get more comfortable with having more confidence and like raising my hand during press conferences instead of like waiting until like the lady will say, anyone have any questions? And then boom. So I gotta do better at that. There's still a lot of nerves. I still get anxious. I put a lot of pressure on myself to ask questions. And I feel really good when I ask the questions, and I feel like $1,000,000, really. But overall, guys, it's not without the support from you that I get to do. If it wasn't for the support, I wouldn't be able to do this, guys. You guys liking, follow, sharing is why I get to do what I do. It doesn't matter how good the content you made, you have to have someone that actually likes it. So the fact that you guys like it is why I'm here. Next race, hopefully, is Darlington, then maybe Bristol, definitely Kansas. We'll see. Overall, guys, thanks for watching. Means the world. Good night from Richmond.